You were designed to translate the textures, the pressures, the winds of existence into soul flight, into the kind of flight that brings you to new places of nourishment and fulfillment as a soul on a long journey. Hello and welcome back to Remember Why You're Here, a podcast for seekers and sensitives where you can relax, receive, reconnect to yourself, and remember the most important thing of all, why you're here. I'm Asia Suler, author, earth intuitive, teacher, and in this episode, we're going to dive into my intuitive reading for the year of 2026. What a solid feel that has, doesn't it? 2026. So this is my 7th year of doing collective intuitive readings for the year ahead. I used to see clients on a one-on-one capacity in what now feels like another lifetime ago, and I would do one-on-one intuitive readings. And the way that I worked in those intuitive readings is through primarily images and metaphor. So how these yearly readings work is that I sit down and meditate on the year ahead, and specifically this collective that I serve. And I ask to be shown an image or a metaphor that will help guide us through this year, that will give us a little bit of a preview of the year ahead and give us the information that we need to be able to navigate with grace this upcoming year. So if you tuned in for last year's reading, and you know that the image for last year was a black hole. Maybe your 2025 felt like that. The image for 2026 carries a lot more perspective, brightness, and hope. So I'm really excited about what's coming up this year. So here are some of the themes before we dive into the image, the metaphor, and we're going to go deep into it. Here are some of the themes for 2026. Steadiness, embodiment, perspective, freedom, recognition of the long journey, gratitude before arrival, self-celebration, clarity, and embracing the wind to fly. So, the image that I was shown for 2026, I am calling the wing in flight. So this image, and it came through very quickly and with a lot of vivid detail, was a very close-up image of a wing in flight. So I could see the feathers rippling in the wind, the joint of the wing itself. I could see the wind and feel the pressure of the wind moving past this wing. And it was a very tactile image this year, very tactile, very embodied, very specific. And one of the first messages that came through is that this is going to be a year about learning the mechanics of flight. This is going to be a year in which you are learning what you need in order to fly. So in order to learn about what we need individually and collectively in order to fly, let's talk about what flight really is. And this felt like such an important piece when this image came in. So as humans who don't fly with our bodies, typically, we see flight as ease. We see flight as just like the ultimate sense of like ease and effortlessness. And yet, one of the things that came through very strongly was my guides reminding everyone that what we see as effortlessness is actually the accumulation of great skill. There's great skill involved in learning how to fly. There's effort that goes into skill. Nothing on earth is just entirely effortless. That's not really the purpose of being here on earth, right? Like everything has some effort that goes into it. And in the animal world, flight is actually one of the most demanding forms of locomotion. You know, flight is this experience of like weightlessness and ecstasy, but it is also this experience of learning, of gathering the skill, the knowledge, the expertise, of having the mechanics to know how to fly. Very literally when a bird is flying, like what creates that flight is pressure. It's pressure difference between the top of their wing and the bottom of their wing. This is why wings are shaped the way that they are. They're shaped in a way where it actually creates more pressure on the bottom part of their wing, and that lifts them up. So it's actually this reality where flight is a dance with pressure. It's learning how to dance with pressure. And so there is this sense of this year of this possibility of flight through like learning the mechanics of what actually helps you fly. There's this sense of being able to have perspective, this shaman's eye view of your life, breaking free from patterns, like long-held patterns. Oh, this felt so good to receive. Greater senses of freedom, possibility, movement. But it felt important to say all this with the reality, but that this is not without any tension. This is not without any effort. That this thrill, perspective, and freedom comes with literal wind beneath your wings, which means that there's going to be there is a little bit of tension there, and not because this year is in particular full of tension, but because I think this is a year of learning that the textures of reality are inherent to reality. Reality will never not have textures. It's part of the deal of physical existence. But this is a year of learning how to work with the pressures and the textures of reality to fly, to use it in the kind of mechanics that work for you to soar, to get this bigger perspective, to find the freedom that you've been waiting for. So you are realizing in this year the adaptations, the evolutions that you need in order to fly. And this is something that you've been working on. As I mentioned before, there's skill involved, right? In learning how to fly. You've been accumulating these skills. There's finesse, there's acceptance of texture, there's the subtleties of being able to feel the wind beneath your wings and knowing that what is here, right? What is showing up as maybe pressure or texture in your life is here to help you learn these mechanics of flight. And there's this sense of buoyancy happening because of the great effort and skill that we have put in over the years leading up to 2026, that you have put in so much effort and skill in learning that it's like this coalescing of learning the mechanics of flight for your own self. And there will be this sharpened perspective, thinking about like a hawk's eye view of the ground. Like you're going to be able to see some patterns. You're going to be able to see some stuff in your life. Some things are going to absolutely get clearer. You're going to be able to pinpoint oh, so that's how it was. That's why it went down like that. Whatever it is, whatever journey you've been on, especially if it's a journey you've been on for a long time, you're going to be able to look from this higher perspective and go, okay, I'm seeing the greater landscape. That's why it had to go down like that. I see it now. And that's such a relief. What a gift to be able to get that kind of perspective this year. There was a big theme that came in as well of when the ideal becomes embodied. So as I mentioned before, this year has a very tactile, embodied feel to me. It's a year of also, one of the things that came in was finding freedom in your body. Oh my goodness, don't we all want that? To find freedom in our bodies. Because here's the reality actually, is that most of the time, most of us are trying to live into some idealized state. We are idealizing some state that is outside of what we're currently experiencing. So something like this: when things are like this, then I'll feel better. When this is solved, then I'll feel more aligned. Then everything will come into play. And there's an element this year where it's not necessarily about shattering that illusion. It's not so dramatic as that, but it's showing you that this idealized state is actually not as far away as you thought, and that it's actually not about reaching some idealized state. It's about becoming more embodied now in the winds of existence, in the beautiful, helpful, uplifting pressures that are here. And that when we become more embodied, we're able to anchor more of the ideal into our lives. It's funny how that works, right? Especially because often when we envision this ideal, we're not envisioning it in an embodied way. It's like we have this ideal of when things are going to be better in the future, and it's almost like sensation lifts. Like that's the ideal, is like lack of sensation, lack of pain, lack of discomfort. So there's this sense of this opportunity this year to actually become more embodied, make friends, befriend the textures of existence. And it's not even as if there's going to be like new textures or pressures. It's more like the ongoing winds that have been in your life. You're able to like befriend them and work with them in a way you haven't before, so that you can get into your body and you're able to like anchor that way of being, anchor that ideal into your life now. You're literally getting this training in learning how to feel those invisible currents and how to work with them, and I like the word current because it's neither negative or positive. It's just the way the energy is flowing, to feel the way the energy is flowing and to work with that. Birds read the wind, like very literally, birds feel the wind as a kind of touchable terrain. Wind pressure, it's not abstract to them. It's touchable. It's eddies, it's paths, it's ledges, it's rivers. So the way in which a bird reads the wind is how you are learning how to read these undercurrents of energy in your life. What gives you energy? What lifts you up? What can you use in order to fly? How are things like arriving in a way where you're being asked to use your skill to actually like navigate it in a way where it is helping you to take off. It's helping you to lift off. It's helping you to fly. Birds literally translate pressure into movement. It's so brilliant. It's such a brilliant mechanics. And those feathers, like that up close image I got of the feathers, feathers are a kind of sensory organ where they plug into the skin. The follicles there are rich with receptors and nerve endings and sensors. They're literally responding to their environment. And so there's this sense of really trusting what you're receiving, trusting your sensors, being able to follow those invisible currents and to let those invisible currents in life lift you up to this higher perspective that's calling you right now. It's calling you. It's not like something you have to effort really hard into. It's literally what's on offer this year, is the lifting up, the higher perspective, the figuring out of certain things. Let us figure some things out. It is what's on offer. And it's like, I don't even have to send that prayer out. It's what's happening. And I loved this. Like when I was researching more about birds in flight, bird bones we call them hollow. They're air filled. They're pneumatic. They're connected to their lungs through air sacs. So you could almost say that when they fly, it's like air and wind is moving through them. It's like flowing through their body. Like flight is like full bodied breathing. The wind isn't noise. It's like information flowing through their body as they breathe. And this kind of flow state, it's like this is on offer this year. This is possible for us here in a way that I don't think it has been in the past few years. Bless our hearts, like it's been a little hard, and this is on offer this year. Having wind, and it's a good perspective shift for you, right? Like having wind means this possibility to fly. It means the possibility of sharpening our skills. So, this year is going to be a year on Earth. Breaking news, I know. But that means that it's not going to be without winds. It's not going to be without pressure. But the thing is, like, what my guides wanted me to say to you is that you're not a fledgling. Like, you've accumulated skill. You know how to fly. You've been through things that have honed you to make you the kind of a more aerodynamic being to fly on these winds, the kind of being who can navigate these winds. So, there's this sense of being able to go far this year with what it is that you have learned, with what it is that you've gathered. And there's this sense that if you can embrace that and like use those skills and take that flight that you're going to get to this place by the end of the year where you're like, wow, I'm in a different landscape now. Like very literally the image of these long migratory birds, like going on this long journey. And this brings me to one of the most important points, I think, in the reading of this year, which is this theme of gratitude before arrival. So I had this very strong image come up when I went deeper into the core metaphor for this year of migratory birds flying high and far for a long time. There's this sense that you have been on a long journey. There's some journey that you have been on for a long time. And what's happening right now is that there is this sense of gratitude coming in before the arrival. And I do want to be clear that what I see is an arrival that is imminent, like an arrival to a place you've been trying to get to. Like it's coming. Like all journeys come to an end at some point. Like this is one of the truths of existence. And, I think migratory birds they're made for these migrations, these journeys, but humans are made for big journeys too. Yes, that might mean on foot, by canoe, we've journeyed across the world for sure. But I mean it more in a sense of like, we're designed for big internal journeys. We're designed to go on big journeys in life within ourselves. This year is going to give you perspective on this big journey you've been on. You're going to be able to see it from this up high place, where you've been, what you've been working on, and really understanding how far you've come and what a feat it has been. Like the feat of traveling thousands of miles to go on this journey that your soul has asked you to go on. It is no small thing that you said yes to this. And I love with migratory birds that, they navigate with having cells that are sensitive to the Earth's magnetic field. So it's almost like this internal pull of like, it's time to fly, it's time to move, and this is where you go. This quiet directional pull inside of themselves. And it's this reminder that true north is always known inside the body, that your body has been leading you on this journey towards true north through this sense of rightness and orientation. And when we're off that true north, when we're off that inner navigation, like we're going to feel it as a faint like unease or dissonance. And like this is also part of the journey you've been on, is recognizing those two different states, of recognizing what rightness feels like, what it feels like to be connected to the magnetism of your path to your true north, and what it feels like when you're off, when you're dissonant. That's part of how human journeys are designed, to teach us how to follow and feel that directional map inside of ourselves, the cells that are within us that are attuned to the magnetic pull of our own destinies. And so this theme of gratitude before arrival just feels so profound. It's like a moment on this long journey you've been on, this like long ass journey where you're going, I did that, where you're looking back at how far you've come and you've gone, I did that. And I think this is so important. And what I see to be as one of the essential truths of true healing is that when true healing takes place in our life, it doesn't take place and then we give gratitude and then we have perspective. Have you ever noticed this? That it's like we get perspective and we're able to access gratitude in those moments, like right before we arrive. It's like you access the gratitude, you access the perspective, and that's the thing that actually allows you to arrive. You access that acceptance that is within gratitude, that is within perspective, and then like those are the energies that actually deliver you then to this homeland, this place you've been moving towards, this place on your soul map that's been calling you forward. And so when we experience gratitude before the arrival, what we know is that arrival is imminent. And doesn't that feel so good? Arrival is imminent. This feels so good. And I think about when these long migratory birds finally get to this place that they've been traveling to this whole time. there's a literal hormonal resettling that happens within their bodies. There's relief and release. Sometimes there's reunion with other flock members, with like territories that are known to them personally or ancestrally. And it's often accompanied by long periods of rest. Like, you can finally rest now. This is a homecoming. So there is this sense that as we access gratitude before arrival, and as we have moments of actually arriving on the other side of such a long journey, so really taking a moment to honor you in the long journey you've been on here, that it's going to give you perspective, not just on what you experience with this journey, but on the long journey of your life. These journeys that we take throughout our life, these big cycles, these big movements, these big migrations we undertake, they give us clarity about our life as a whole. They give us perspective on the long journey of our life. So there's glimpses of that this year. There's glimpses of being able to understand more of the long journey of our lifetime, the themes that we came here to embody, to explore, to gain proficiency in. You'll be able to, as you have moments of rest on that other side, get that glimpse into that long journey of your life. And this is what this journey has been about for you. This is what this migration that you've been on these past handful of years has been about for you. It is about getting to a new place that will sustain you. This is why birds undertake these kind of long migrations, right? This is why we're drawn to take migrations as mammals, as beings on this earth, as humans, because there's a new place that's calling us, a new place that we are about to arrive to that will sustain us. That's what you've been moving towards, and that's where you will be arriving. You're reaching the end point of this particular journey. Like, when that came through, I was like, okay, like, praise be. Like, you're reaching the end point of this particular journey, and where you're arriving at is a place that will sustain you in new and very profound ways. So as I was preparing for this reading for 2026, I always like to look back at the previous year, in this case 2025, and what I said about the previous year. And it really resonated for me, where we've been versus where we're going. And in 2025, there was themes of remembering the original commitment of your soul leaps, birthing new timelines. There's a lot of like what was birthed this last year that's actually going to help deliver us now in this year. And there was like surrendering into like what I called the generative unknown. There was a lot of mystery last year. There was a lot of like, okay, I'm having the courage to step into it. This is so mysterious. We're going to forge a new future. And it's almost like all that work you did last year of trusting the mystery, of stepping into these new generative spaces is really like helping you now in this like arrival, this like what feels like, oh my gosh, and may it be so, what feels like this like completion piece on this longer journey that you've been on. And what I found with last year is that felt like there was some interesting like reversal energies where it's like last year felt like it kind of like turned us inside out a little bit. Like it like flipped, something would like flip and then it would like flip again though. Like almost like you thought something was one way and then like you're like, oh wait, no, it's that way. And then it like flipped one more time and you're like, oh, okay, I guess it's this way. And so there was like some element in 2025 where I felt like some shock and like reversals, like multiple ones of those. And what I like about 2026 is that I don't sense the same shock and reversals for people personally this year. It's got a little bit more of like a steadiness to it, like a little bit more of like this endurance feeling of perspective and so while there's also like continuing the journey and getting to this new place and having this endurance, there's also, this time of new heights because you are reaching new states of inner freedom, of self-acceptance, of gratitude, of really seeing and understanding the purpose behind these journeys. Like I said, having this like bird's eye view of the journey you've been on and been like, it makes sense now. Like some things are going to make sense now in a way they didn't make sense before. You're going to be able to look back and say like, okay, like I get it. That makes sense now. And I do want to remind you that while like physically, it can feel like we weren't designed for these times, like we're not meant to live in the way we're living in the modern world, all those things. On a soul level, we were designed for these times. On a soul level, we're coming in with the skills we need to fly, to navigate these migrations and these long journeys, and that this is your offering to this planet. Your offering is being willing to go on that migrations. It's huge. It's no small feat. It is an incredible offering that you're bringing to this planet. And I want to remind you of that strength that you came in with, of that skill that you came in with to take these migrations, and now in 2026 to reach new places of arrival. So how can you meet this year ahead? Like, what are some entry points to work with the energies that are here this year? Well, I definitely want you to keep this perspective. When you have moments of feeling pressure or wind or resistance, to like literally reframe this as like, this is the mechanics of like what lifts me up, of what's giving me energy, of what I'm here to work with so that I can use the skills that I've gleaned to fly. Literally imagine that full-bodied breath that birds have. Like, imagine yourself flying. Like, literally breathe as if your bones were open to breath, and see what happens in those moments where it feels like a lot of texture or a lot of pressure. And I think there's this thing where we often assume that when we've made it, we're not ever going to have, pressure or tension or texture anymore. And it's just not how life works. And so actually, what we're being delivered into is learning how to work on a soul level with these textures and these winds that just come through, because this is life on this planet, and like full body breathe with them and use them for the evolution that we are here to undertake. Use them to fly in the way that we're meant to fly through this life. Because that's the thing, right? We so often think that if we really healed enough, if we really did enough work, if we were really good enough, that we wouldn't anymore experience pain or disappointment or grief or tension. And it's just not a reality on this planet. Like, you did nothing wrong to be experiencing these things again. So know that when that comes up, this is an invitation actually for you to trust the skill you've developed, to trust that those winds ultimately are here to help you on the migratory journey of your life. That said, when you have moments of balance and harmony, oh, bless those moments. When you have those moments of joy and balance and harmony, soak in them. Literally imagine bathing your nervous system in the energy of those moments of balance and harmony and joy, and it will attune your nervous system to that. It will help your nervous system to trust that that is possible, and so that when you have moments where then you're out of balance once more, you will know how to move towards that which will bring you into balance again. Your system will know and recognize what it feels like to be in balance and to have harmony. And, so when you're in those moments of balance, just try to soak it in, and try to keep your brain spinning out in those moments from going into the don't have space. Like, this is so nice, but I don't have this, and I'm still working on this, and blah, blah, blah. Just let go of that place in any way that you can and just soak in what is there in the present. This is where being embodied really helps, because literally just feel that joy or peace or balance in your body. Where is it in your body? What is its texture? What is its weight? Does it have a color? Does it have a temperature? This will help you soak it in, like literally absorb that feeling state inside of your body, so it's easier and easier to access. This will also give you so much energy for what comes next. When we give ourselves time to soak in those states of balance and harmony, it gives us a reserve, a bank of energy to be able to meet then the winds when they come again. And lastly, this was so sweet, but when I asked my guides, is there anything else? They said, be on the lookout for a feather. Like, as you move into this new year, to literally keep your eye out for a physical feather. And one way you can work with this is to See if you have a question you want to ask or an affirmation you want to ask about something, and ask to be, shown this feather in a moment in which it is confirming something for you or giving you some sort of affirmation or direction. Like, you have the ability to ask for that and make that intention, but be on the lookout for a feather. And I love that they said this. So see if there's a physical feather that ends up coming into your life. And when that feather does come into your life, I want you to look at it and just have it be a reminder, right? A reminder of the mechanics of flight, that pressure, feel that pressure moving over that feather, and how that feather was literally designed to translate pressure into flight. And so are you. You were designed to translate the textures, the pressures, the winds of existence into soul flight, into the kind of flight that brings you to new places of nourishment and fulfillment as a soul on a long journey. And so this is who you are, and this is what this feather, if you find one, will remind you of. The closing quote that came in for me when I was channeling this reading for the new year was just so lovely. I decided to read it aloud for you, so this can be a little bit of wind beneath your wings. So this is what the guide said about 2026. You will have the perspective you need to keep going. You will have the strength you need to fly. You will have the courage you need to face the winds. You'll have the hope you need to be carried. So I am sending you so many blessings for the start of this new year. I have a really good feeling about this year. I'm an eternal optimist, but I do have a really good feeling about this year. This image just brought so much lightness and perspective to me in my own life and the long journeys that I have been on. May the long journeys you've been on come with perspective, come with grace, help you see all the ways in which you have been carried, all the ways in which you have done so much beautiful work, and may that gratitude before the arrival come in with so much relief. So if you resonated with this reading, or if you had a sign or synchronicity come in around this reading, I would love to hear about it. You can leave me a comment, or you can leave me a voice message over on my website, asiasuler.com/remember. And if you haven't done so already, leaving a rating or review for this podcast is literal wind beneath the wings for this venture. It has been so powerful and cool and magical for me to create this past year, to put my energy and my effort into this podcast, to connect with all of you here. And leaving a rating or review is just literally the biggest gift that you could give, and is such wind beneath my wings. So if you have a moment to do that today, that would just mean the world. Oh, and if you found a feather, definitely let me know. I would love to hear about the feather that you found. I'm kind of imagining this just shower of feathers out there in the world, or this trail of feathers, this map of feathers, all of us finding these feathers as we step into this new year. Also, reminder that you might find a physical feather, but sometimes you'll get a feather on a card that's sent to you, or a beautiful image you see somewhere. Let that also be a message and a confirmation if that comes through for you. Okay. With that, I want to thank you so much for being here, for closing out 2025 with me, for ringing in 2026. This new year has a lot to offer us, and I'm just so truly excited for us and the places of nourishment and fulfillment that we will be reaching as we move deeper into this year of 2026. So as you start this new year, as you step into the possibilities of flight that are inherent to this year ahead, may there be hope, may there be perspective, and may this flight, may this wide view that you get on your life help you remember that thing that is so helpful, that thing that is one of the most important things of all, remembering why you're here.